invitation letter. Okay. What we do in invitation letter, we request someone's presence in exhibition or cultural event, academic event or ceremony. Let me give you a different example. If you are conducting a science exhibition in SOT and you are inviting all the teachers, or maybe you are inviting teachers from other related departments. Say for example, you are inviting teachers from physics or computer science. I mean, there is another computer science department in our university. Or maybe you are also inviting some administrative staff, you are inviting VC sir, you are inviting registrar sir, you are inviting dean of student welfare. So you are requesting these people to attend the exhibition, cultural event. Say imagine you are conducting freshers welcome, okay, and you are inviting all your teachers. So for that also you write invitation letter. For academic events such as you are the organizer of a seminar. So for that academic event, you are inviting eminent people to be resource person in that seminar, or to be the chief guest or the chairperson of seminar. Graduation ceremony, or even freshers welcome is a ceremony. Okay, imagine that the convocation is happening and the university is sending formal invitation letter to all its pass out students to attend the convocation. Okay, that is also called a graduation ceremony. So in that case, the invitation letter is written by the institution requesting the students to attend it. So these are the different situations to give you rough idea that when we write invitation letter. Or maybe you are conducting a blood donation camp and you are requesting the DC to grace the occasion. That is also an invitation letter. Okay, so what we do in the invitation letter, we provide the details of the event and the occasion, or maybe the venue. That is the most important thing. Okay, you provide the background of the event. Okay, you say that we are conducting Teachers' Day on this particular day, and we request you to be present at this place and at this time. Okay, you present the details of the event or the background of the event. Or maybe you can also say that we are conducting a blood donation drive from this club and we want you to be present there and to encourage people to come forward. If so is for seminar. Okay, imagine you are conducting a seminar or a conference on machine learning. Okay, and there is one scholar, or maybe there is a professor who has huge knowledge on machine learning, and you want that professor from NIT to be the chief guest, or maybe to be the resource person. So you write that, sir, we are conducting one conference on this topic from this day to this day, and in Assam University in this department, and we request you, because you are one of the experts in this field, we will be honored if you become a resource person for this event. Okay, so that's how you write an invitation letter. So in invitation letter, you provide the details of the event and the occasion, and you also write your expectation that I want you to be the chief guest, or I want your presence to encourage the donors, what you want. Okay, so when you are telling them that I want you to become the resource person, so he will come prepared for an academic speech. If you are telling that I want you to be the resource person of one of the sessions of induction program, so I know that I'll go prepared because I'll have to deliver a speech, I'll have to manage a session. And if you are requesting me to attend the Teachers' Day program, maybe to grace the occasion, so I will know that this is what you are expecting from me, so I'll keep that while preparing for that program. So that's how you write invitation letter. That is the situation when we write invitation letter. And then yes, resignation letter. Please read. Okay. So resignation letter. So when we write resignation letter, we resign. We resign from a job. We resign from a position. Um, say for example, you are working with a company and you are changing the company. So you are resigning from your present job, present position, or you can also resign from a position. Say for example, uh, uh, Rajoshi is your class rep. So that's the position, other than being just a student. So Rajoshi wants to resign from that because it's affecting his studies and it's creating miscommunication amongst his friends. So he wants to resign from that position, and he will have to write a formal letter to the HOD or maybe to the class teacher, because his name is all, I mean, there. Teachers communicate through him. So it's in the official document, in the mail list, everywhere. How Rajoshi will write it? Rajoshi will say that I manage the responsibilities of the class rep from this date to this date, and I felt honored that my classmates entrusted me to take up that responsibility, and I thoroughly enjoyed being the class rep, and it was a huge learning experience. But due to this reason, maybe because it's hampering my performance in the exam, or it's also affecting, also it's creating miscommunication amongst my friends, I want to resign from the position of class rep of this batch. Okay, I request you to choose another person to carry on that, and my all the best to the new CR. You got it? So that's how you write it. You talk about your previous experience, you provide the dates, you had been engaged with that institution or you with that responsibility, and you explain the reason with all politeness, because you are declining something. Okay, it's a kind of rejecting something. Resignation letter is again a kind of rejection. You decline something, you decline the responsibility. Okay, you stop something which was going on. So you explain the reason with all politeness, and you end it with a positive note. Okay, you say that all the best to your company, or maybe you say you all the best to the new person, new CR, or you say that I'm sure you will find another person who is equally capable or maybe better capable than I had been in this position. So that's how you write a resignation letter. You talk about the details. As I told you, that formal letter generally comes with details. So when you are saying your experience details, you provide the date, that from this date to this date, or maybe for this batch, these were my nature of responsibility, and this is the reason I am leaving, and with a positive note. So yes, this is resignation letter is drafted. And after that comes a very general thing, because maybe we don't put it in any other group, that is general application letter. Okay, so whatever we can't put it in the above 8 groups, we put it under general application letter. It can be application letter of a leave, it can be an application letter of a job, it can be an application letter of scholarship, or maybe, as Govind says, it can be an application of reimbursement of internet charges. So what you do in that application letter, because you are applying to something, you provide the background, you provide the reason, and you specifically say that what action you expect. Okay, because I have got application letter of leave from student. What they do is that they just write, ma'am, I will remain absent from this date to this date. Okay, you will remain absent. What will I do? So you have to say that please grant me leave, or maybe you can say that please forward my application so that I can submit the application to my warden. Something, either I forward your application, or I grant you leave, or I, you can also say that, sir, I spent this much of money for the official use for internet to do official work. So that is your background, and what you write in your expectation, that please consider reimbursing this amount. Okay, so you please write the specific action of your appeal. You are appealing to a higher authority to get something done. Okay, so you specify exactly what is your expectation. Don't just rewrite that I'll remain absent. So what will I do? You will remain absent. Okay, either I grant you a leave, or I take your exam letter, something. What is your expectation from me? So that generally comes under application letter. And then there are many other types of application letter. I just have given 4 examples to give you some idea. And then comes this. Letter of interest or prospecting letter. Please quickly read point 9 and point 10. Okay, so I hope that you have read point 9 and point 10. Point 9 we have already discussed. Point 10, I have made it a separate type of letter. The thing is that you can very well put it under application letter. Okay, but then I thought that I'll make this letter of interest or prospect letter as a separate one, because this is the type of letter that you will probably be writing more than any other type of letter. Okay, once you graduate, you will have to write letter for job, to asking for job vacancy, or maybe to asking for the details of the project that this company is managing. So this is the type of letter that I believe you will be writing more in number once you start your professional life. So what is that? It's the letter of interest. Letter of interest means you show interest for one project, or you show interest for one company. You show interest to take one particular position. Maybe scientist, maybe researcher, teaching assistant, something. It's most of the time related to job or professional life. That's the reason I have put job or some position. Position maybe research assistant is a position, or scientist is a position, postdoctoral fellow is a position. Okay. So you show your interest to take up responsibility, or to take up a job, or prospecting letter. So why we write it? The thing is that for government vacancies, they come up with advertisement. That advertisements for job or recruitment, they publish in their website, and at the same time they also publish it in the newspapers. In the case of companies, what happens in the companies is that people come, people resign, people change company. So this the flow is it's always in a flow, it's always mobile. The population, the employee in one particular company is very, very mobile, it's very volatile. People are coming, people are going, people are resigning, people are accepting job, people are rejecting job. That does not happen in government job. So it's because of that the companies generally don't come with such kind of advertisement in newspaper. Okay, rarely. So what you do is that you write to the HR manager to know that do you have a vacancy in this particular project, because my area of interest is matching with your project, or maybe your company profile is matching with my profile as a candidate. So I will be very interested for an interview, or maybe I'll be very interested to be part of your project. I'll be very interested to be part of your company. So you show your interest. And why is it called prospecting letter? So you think in terms of your future prosperity. You think of your future prosperity. So that's the reason it's called prospecting letter. Please keep in mind this number 10 can very well be put under number 9. But then because we will be writing this type of letter more, I have made it a separate point so that we can discuss it, or maybe we can focus it in detail. So while you write a letter of interest, you express the reason for your interest, and say, for example, our profiles are matching. Okay, that is your reason for interest. Or maybe you think that one particular project you find is very, very exciting. So that's the reason you want to be part of it, and you believe that this will be a learning experience for you. Okay, and then that's so the reason for your interest. And then what you write? You write the reason they should consider that they should take you. So it should always be technical reason. Please keep this in mind. What I am going to tell. Please be a little attentive. I have read a few letter of interest or prospecting letter or maybe job application letter. Some students have written it in their exam, or maybe they applied in a job portal, which I somehow came across. Many a time I have found that students, kind of, not students, I mean that particular candidate kind of begs for the job. Okay, they write in this way. I mean, I'm just quoting. Someone wrote that I give my 200%. Come on, 200% is technically wrong. You can't give 200%. Okay, don't commit anything that you won't be able to do. Okay, or they also say, they write long paragraph that I am in deep need of money. Okay, I need to support my family, or I mean, they almost beg. See, the thing is that here, when you are showing interest, you have to show, when you think that they should consider you, they should give you a chance by conducting an interview, the reason should be technical for them. Okay, because you have good proficiency in your field, or maybe you already have experience of working similar things. So these are the reasons they should consider. See, the thing is that if you need job, if you need money, if you are sincere, whether you will give 200% or not, these are non-technical reasons. Okay, please talk about technical things. Let your CV speak that you already did an internship on a related work, or you say that your PhD was on this topic. You did PhD on machine learning, and this particular company works for machine learning. That's the reason they should consider you. Okay, something like that. The reason for which they should consider you, the reason for which they should give you a chance through a written or maybe through an interview should be technical. Okay, don't beg for job. Never ever beg for job. That does not create a good impression. That actually creates a very bad impression that this candidate can stoop to the level of begging. Don't ever do that. Okay, I mean, our self-respect, our self-esteem comes towards the top. That's the reason you should work on your CV. That's the reason your certificates matter. That's the reason your score, your performance, all these things matter. As I told you, that let your CV speak. Okay, I put it in the chat box. That your CV should speak for your qualities. Okay, and it's based on your CV they should choose you, not for any other non-technical reason. I hope I'm clear. Okay, so roughly I have discussed about 7 types of formal letter based on purpose. And I have also tried to give you some background of the situations in which we write such letters. And I also have talked very briefly about the format of each letter. As for example, you must have seen that for resignation letter, you should talk about your experience and then explain a reason, then you should end with a positive note. For invitation letter, what are the things you should include? You should include details of the event and then your expectation. So for each type of letter, that the way I have written, you will see that first it mentions the type of the letter: acceptance letter, decline, apology, complaint letter. Then within bracket, it has put the 3-4 possible situations for writing that letter: for job, for price, for title, for order, for status of application. What are the situations? And then after that, it has also talked about what are the things that you should include in the body of the letter, very roughly, in a very sketchy way. Till now, I have not given you the format. Till now, I have not shown you a single formal letter. This is still, we are in the background. Please let me know if you are clear till now, or if you want me to go back to any of this. If you are not very clear about the purpose of writing any of these letters, please let me know. Please unmute and speak instead of writing it in the chat box. Are you here, people?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. I got it. You are here. So when you said, yes, ma'am, I assume that you meant you are with me. Okay. Should I move next to the format, general format of formal letter? Should I move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So in the chat box, I have put format of formal letter. So this will go to your general box, your second box, second column. Okay, format of formal letter. So many of you have some idea of what is the format of a formal letter. Okay, many of you studied it in your school days. Okay, maybe in the 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th standards. Many of you have, but please keep. Those who have not, please take a note that there generally is a format. Okay, what you should write first, whose address, and then date, and then subject, and then salutation. So there are certain flexibilities, but then there is a general kind of format that we maintain. Okay. Wait. Give me some time, I'm typing. So here it is, starting from top of the letter to the bottom of the letter. At the top of the letter, there is recipient's name, designation, and relevant details. By recipient, I mean the person who will read the letter. Okay, so the power is here. My Wi-Fi will work. Okay, by recipient, I mean the person who will read the letter. Okay, so it should come at the top. And then after it, you have to mention the date on which you are writing the letter. And then number 3, sender's name, relevant designation, and appropriate address. After it, the writer's name and details. Number 4, it should be subject, the subject of the letter. Number 5 is salutation. Salutation is respected, dear, Mr., something like that. And then comes the body of the letter, which should at least have 2 paragraphs. Okay, the first paragraph generally presents the background. The second paragraph, you say your expectation, generally. Okay, so the first paragraph of the body presents the background. The second paragraph focuses or presents the purpose for which you are writing the letter. So the first one is about background, the second one is about purpose. Number 7 is closure. We write yours truly, best regards, something like that. Please note that we don't write yours faithfully anymore. We used to write it long back, but then yours faithfully sounds too timid. Okay, it's too surrendering. Okay, you don't commit to remain faithful to an unknown authority. Okay, you can write. The people were not very happy with the word faithful. Okay, so we are trying to replace it. So now we write yours sincerely, yours truly, something like that. And then you put your signature, and then after signature, within bracket, you put your name. And then in case you are adding some documents, some supporting documents, you also list them in the main letter that these are the documents which are there in this application, so that if one of the papers are missing, I can understand that it was there in the enclosure. Okay, so that's how that's the general structure of formal letter. This is my 5th hour, so I'm kind of losing my language. Please bear with me. I'm kind of forgetting. So I had 3 hours of class in the morning, and then this is the 5th hour. So it's kind of messy inside my head. Sorry. Is the structure clear? This is the rough format. Is this clear? Anyone? Any doubt?
Yes,
I want other students who generally keep quiet to respond, because this is very, very important. Okay. Till now, what we have been doing is that we have been trying to understand the background of formal letter, the situations, the different types, the different examples of formal letter. Now we are actually into the format of it. So the students who generally remain keep quiet, please respond. If you are with me, if I'm going too fast, if I slow down. People, please respond.
Ma'am, explain the point number 9.
Point number 9, enclosure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Many a time, along with the main application letter, you also add certain supportive document to prove your point. Say, for example, you are writing an application letter for job. So you also add your certificates. So what are the certificates that you are adding? You put it in the list format in the main application. So this enclosure is a list of the documents that you are providing. So it just tells that along with this application, these are the supporting documents I'm providing. Okay, if you are sending an invitation letter to a resource person for a conference, maybe as an enclosure, you can send the flyer of the conference. Okay, or maybe for a complaint letter, maybe you can add the receipt that you got at the time of buying that product, or maybe the hotel bill that you dine. So these are the kind of supporting documents that you have that you are adding, and you put a list. Enclosures always come at the bottom of the letter, and it comes in the form of a list. Did I answer your question, Rakesh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the 9 points that I have written is about the format of the formal letter. So now I'm going to talk about the content of formal letter. What are the things that we generally keep in mind while writing, the kind of language? Okay, under content, your language must be formal. For that matter, whatever we are practicing in this semester, we'll always follow formal language. Say, for example, last semester you had conversation, and during conversation in the class, during class activity, even during exam, you can use informal language, okay? But not in this semester, okay? Whatever we are doing in this semester will always be in formal language. So the language of a formal letter is always formal. Use easy and clear language. Please keep in mind the person who will be reading your letter, generally these people get many such letters every day. Okay, if you are applying for a job to HR manager, the HR manager gets 300 to 400 letters each week. Okay, so please keep that in mind, that formal letter is not the place where you show very flowery language, where you use very flowery language. Okay, it's not the kind of language that you see in novels, or maybe in songs, or maybe in poems. You use it because you want to keep your purpose clear. Okay, you are writing that letter for a purpose, so keep everything very clear so that there is no misunderstanding between you and the authority or the concerned thing. So please use very direct language, to the point language, and keep it easy, so that the person who reads such letters every day, maybe 50 to 100 letters, or maybe 300 to 400 letters every day, the invitation letter, or maybe the acknowledgement letter, complaint letter, apology letter. Imagine how many such letters that the person or maybe the official must be reading every day. Okay, use easy language so that there is no miscommunication, there is no ambiguity, no one is hurt. Third, just a minute. Third is avoid slang or use of abbreviation. Okay, say for example, you are congratulating someone because someone is promoted or something like that, and you are conveying it through a formal letter, through an official letter. Don't start with congrats and 3 exclamations. Okay, we don't use exclamation in formal letter. You can use exclamation for your informal invitation, for your conversation writing. Please don't use this exclamation in your formal letter. Okay, if people write sorry 5 exclamations, we are rejecting your applications. Okay, or congrats, you are selected for this scholarship. Please don't. Okay, formal letters are read by officials. Please don't use this 3 exclamations and all these things. Never use that. And use of abbreviations. Okay, say for example, I have written MGPGRF. So this is a Mahatma Gandhi Postgraduate Research Fellowship. So it is very ambiguous. We don't understand. You might know it, but think about the person who is reading it. They might not know it. Okay, so please don't use abbreviations. Always try to write it. Even if you are writing abbreviation, put it within bracket in the first occasion and then write abbreviation. The way I wrote it in the WhatsApp chat. For internal assessment, in the first occasion, I write it IA and then I used IA because there is no question of confusion because I already mentioned it. This is the abbreviation I'm going to use. So if you are using abbreviation in the first instance, please provide the full name. Don't assume that the person will know all these things because it is important to you, might not be important to others. The content must be clear, concise, and understandable. As I told you, don't leave anything for assumption, or maybe don't leave anything for assumption. It will create miscommunication. Please use simple language, easy language, be to the point. Avoid adding extra details or information, only the relevant ones. Okay, as I told you, that non-technical things, or don't add anything extra which are not relevant. You will get these things clear once I actually show you some formal letters. Okay, pay attention to the target audience. By target audience, I mean the reader, the person who will read it. Okay, if you are writing a job application, please keep in mind that the HR manager will read 300 to 400 letters every week. If you are writing an invitation letter to a professor at NIT Silchar, please know that he gets similar kind of letter or many other types of official letter every day. Okay, don't assume that he will understand everything. Okay, for him this is just a piece of paper and he will understand only after he reads it. So what he reads is very important. That's the reason what you write is very important. Okay, so these previously I presented the format of formal letter, and now I am adding the content, okay, the language, the presentation of formal letter. So is this clear? If you want me to go back to any of these points, I can do. Anyone can unmute and speak if you are with me. Are you with me? Am I audible, by the way?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that you are tired. I'm bothering you. Okay, so just.
Ma'am, you are audible, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. But Govind, I thought that you are not left with any charge and you are leaving the meeting. Okay, so what I will do now, I am left with 7 minutes. So I'll just show you. See, in my yes. So I'll show you a few things that we include in the body of certain types of formal letter by sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Especially
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, because I'm always in doubt if you are using it through mobile, because the screen of the mobile is very small. So I'm not sure whether you are able to read the words which are there on the screen. If they are too small to read. So I hope you can read it clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. From now onwards, from now onwards, you have to use your mic because I can't see your chat box because the chat box is off and in front of me I have the Word file open. So this is what I just posted in the chat box. This is the format of official letter. These are the content in general. Okay. And now imagine this is a letter of enquiry. Okay. So what are the things we should add in the body of the letter of enquiry? So you you give, you give a brief introduction about yourself in one sentence. Okay. So if you are applying for a scholarship, so what you will write? That I am a second year student. I'm a second year BTech student registered in CSE department, SOT, Assam University. Okay, because we need to know, because when you write inquiry letter, many a time we don't know you in person. This is not a resignation letter. For resignation letter, I know that he or she is an employee. But then for inquiry letter or for complaint letter, I don't know the sender. As a reader of the letter, I don't know the sender. So you should give your identity and your relevant identity. Okay, if you are applying for a scholarship, certainly you won't say that I live in this area of Silchar. No, you will talk about your educational identity, your academic identity. Okay, so you introduce yourself generally in one sentence. Don't break the sentences to make the letter appear bigger. Okay, you write it in one sentence and you project that part of the identity if it is relevant. If you are writing a letter of identity to your local club, so in that case you say that I am a resident of this ward and in this locality. Okay, so please keep in mind that how the reader of the letter will know you. The person who will give you scholarship will be interested to know your academic identity. The MLA of your locality will be interested to know what exactly is your location. So please keep this thing in mind. And then include the name of the organization if relevant. Okay. If you, like, or maybe organization or maybe the brand, if you are asking for a product. And then write briefly in one or two sentences why you are interested. If you are interested in a scholarship or if you are interested in particular course in a foreign university, why you are interested. Okay, and then provide clear details about the area of inquiry. Okay, and very, very clearly, as I told you, don't just ask what is your admission procedure. It's not possible to write the admission procedure in a response letter. Okay, make your query very, very specific so that the person reading the letter can respond with specific answer. Be very specific. Okay, and mention politely the deadlines by which you need the information, because you also have a deadline to apply for a scholarship or something like that. So be very polite that it would be great if you can reply me with the relevant details by this, because I too need some time to write the application. So this is what we generally add for the letter of inquiry in the body. So right now I'm only talking about the body of the letter. So is this clear? Should I move on? Use your microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So imagine you are placing an order. Okay. So what you write in the body of the letter, say for example, I am the HOD, or maybe imagine that I am the Dean of Student Welfare and I want to buy some sports equipment for the students of Assam University. So I have to place an official order for this huge number of sports equipments that I wish to buy. So that order should be placed very officially, formally. So what will I write in the body of the letter? The details of the items or the goods being ordered must be clearly stated. Okay, so I want this specific model of this particular item. Okay, so for, as I told you time and again, please keep in mind the person who will be reading that letter. For he might have 5 varieties of bat. If you don't specify which particular model you want and in which amount, it will be difficult for him to take the order. So it must have complete information like the quantity of the good, model number if possible, etc. Number 2, information related to the shipping must also be clearly given, that as Dean of Student Welfare, I will go to your shop and pick it up, or you will send me. Who will bear the cost? The mode of shipping, shipping location, and desired date for the goods to be shipped must be clearly stated. The inquiry related payment weight. The inquiry related payment, whether it's the mode of payment, date of payment, or terms or condition, they will accept online or they want cash, they will give receipt, how many copies, conditions regarding payment should be clearly mentioned. Okay, is this clear? So these are the things we should include in the body of the letter. So you can understand that all these informations can't be put in one single paragraph. Okay, so maybe for an order letter, you can add 3 paras based on these 3 points. In the first para, you provide the details of the items. In the second para, you talk about the shipping. And then in the third para, you talk about the payment, or maybe you can add second and third point together. Is this clear? Should I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
What people are not talking, I can understand. I have almost damaged them. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, we'll continue in the next class. I can understand that you are at the least of your energy. So yes, letter of complaint. What you should do, one must clearly provide the details of the problem list. Whatever, I told you that the problem can be, the complaint can be about airport service, can be about restaurant, can be about one product, can be about delivery, anything. Or maybe the misconduct of one person, of employee, anything. Please provide details of the problem faced, because each complaint letter is a type of feedback, okay? And they generally take complaint letters very seriously, because that will help them to improve. If you don't provide details, how will they rectify? It's possible that you have to mention the date on which you visited the restaurant, because it's possible that maybe the manager of the restaurant was on leave on that particular date. That's the reason it was not managed in a very nice way, unlike other days. So that's the reason the mention of the date is important. That will help them to locate the problem. Maybe the manager was on leave, or maybe someone else was in charge, or maybe a new person came to take charge of the manager. These are the possible reasons. So please provide the date, please provide the time. Tell what action you want to be taken. After you lodged, you talked about your unhappiness, but then how exactly you want it to be addressed. Attach a copy or specimen of the invoice or other receipt or reference, as I told you, to help them identify it, and also as a kind of documentary proof. It is also possible that people might raise false complaint. So there should be some kind of documentary proof to prove the authenticity. Say, if I raise a complaint for a student who was cheating in the exam, what will I do? I will attach the answer script. At the same time, I will also attach the cheat. And the person reading will see that yes, there is a commonality between the cheat and the answer script. So that's the kind of reference. Use polite yet assertive words regarding complaint issue, because you are unhappy, okay? And you want them to rectify. So your voice should, don't be rude, but then your language should be assertive. Okay. So yes, I will stop here because you people are not talking much. I assume that you are already very exhausted. There are few others which I wanted to. Okay, there are just two. Can I please continue? Just two types of letters. Can I please continue?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
please, just two. Yeah, because it takes half an hour time to establish this track every class. What, revise, revision, milli, and all these things. I lose 30 minutes to create that track, to bring you back to the ambience, to give you some feel of the classroom. So yes, please bear with me. Just two. So in the apology letter, clearly address the problem and accept the trouble caused. As I told you, please accept. Apology letter starts with the acceptance. Okay, the explanation will follow, the excuse, all these things will follow, but then first be humble. Okay, say that we made a mistake. Okay, I'm sorry that you are not unhappy, you are not happy with our service, or I'm sorry I broke the rule, something like that. Accept the problem, or accept the mistake, or accept the trouble caused, accept the and apologize for the error on your side, and then clearly state the course of action you will take in future. As I told you, every letter of apology comes with a promise that, sir, I will never do it again, or maybe I'll take care of it, or maybe we have warned that employee to behave properly with our customer, or maybe we have we have talked to our manager and he will surely address the problem. Some kind of promise that you took it seriously, you took the feedback and you are trying to rectify. So it should come, every letter of apology should come with some sense of promise. Assure no more future grievances and troubles. You say that, see, I'll try that it never happens again. Be very clear and specific about every detail. So that's it. And then offer letter. You are offering a job, you are offering a title, you are offering a promotion. So use clear and definite terms what exactly you are offering and what comes under this. Okay, if you are offering a job, please talk very briefly about the nature of the job. Okay, what you expect from that person, and then use proper punctuation and correct spelling. That is for all the letters. Avoid slang, fancy terminologies of jargon. As I told you, many a time you write congrats and 3 exclamations. Please don't do that. Okay, and clearly discuss the offer, that this is the things that you as an employee will get. Please be very specific. That as promotion, these will be the extra responsibilities. Okay, or maybe as the captain of the cricket team, you will have to take these extra responsibilities. When you are offering some promotion, some job, please talk about the responsibilities that come with that. Okay, again, use of abbreviations like as I told you, MG, PG, RF, something like that. Even if you are using it, use it within bracket. If you are using acronym, use the full form as well. So this is what you should consider in the body of the formal letter. So in this class, what we did, we went back to each type of formal letter. We learned about the situations or different types, subtypes of formal letters. We also learned that the format of your formal letter. We also learned what type of language we should use in the formal letter, and we also learned certain body content of certain types of formal letter that I did using the screen sharing. If you have any doubt, in the next class I will actually show you certain formal letters. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Else, you may leave.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Yeah.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Stay back if you have any question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Else, you may
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, there are some questions. Manthan wants to see the slides once more. Okay. And Soham is asking, ma'am, what is the difference between inquiry? Okay. Soham, the one with E, the second one in your question is general. Okay. And the first one that starts with I is little more specific. And also, I believe one of them is British, the other one is American. I mean, roughly, I guess so. Wait. E is British, I is American. Okay, so these are general. Okay, I is much more specific. E is general. And Manthan wanted to show her. Maybe I'll give you a few more examples, but then I just want to show Manthan the slides because this is related to our course. Can you see my screen? If you see my screen, Manthan, you wanted slides. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Okay. So this on my screen there is this body of offer letter. I mean the points that you should include in the body of the offer letter. And then apology letter. Okay, so that's on my screen. So if you want, when you tell me to move on, I'll move on. Because I'm not sure whether you are noting it down or if you tell me to change, I'll change. Manthan, should I change? Are you there? Manthan, are you there? Should I change?
Manthan is taking screenshots and he's done.
Okay. Oh my God, sorry. Manthan, should I move on? If you don't respond, it's very difficult for me.
I saw. Ma'am,
Okay. Yes. I'm checking the chat box because I was. Okay. Soham asked me something. Soham, as I told you, I briefly told you. In the next class, when the other students are present, maybe I can elaborate a bit so that the others also learn. Okay. Thank you for raising the question. I want all the students to be part of the discussion. Okay, please wait for the next class. And Uddesho is saying, ma'am, is the no. The thing is that, as I told you, the E is very general and IU is very specific. So maybe you can't use them as synonyms. There are specific situations when you use I only, inquiry commission. Okay, you can't change it. But then, as I told you, in the next class, I will do it for all. Okay, and then. Okay, Manthan. Okay, Manthan, I could not see your chat. I'm sorry because when I open the window, I need to minimize this, and I can't see any chat. Okay. Thank you. So I'm closing the meeting, ending the meeting. If you have any question, you can ask me. Unmuting the mic.
मैम ये मिली और समरी में डिफरेंस क्या है?
किसमें?
मिली और समरी.
समरी में देखो, समरी जब तुम बोलते हो तुम सब पॉइंट बोलते हो. हाँ, मिली का फुल फॉर्म है मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ यस्टरडे. सो you don't add all the points, you only add one point which is most important to you.
तो ये सब्जेक्टिव चीज है थोड़ा.
बहुत सब्जेक्टिव है क्योंकि तुम देखना कि जब मैं मिली पूछती हूँ तो एक बच्चा एक आंसर देते हैं, लेकिन अगर मैं समरी पूछूं तो सबका शायद लगभग एक ही होगा. हाँ, और समरी में ज्यादा पॉइंट्स आते हैं. जैसे कि मैं रिवीजन करती हूँ क्लास के शुरू में तो वो समरी होता है और उसमें ज्यादा पॉइंट्स होते हैं, लेकिन मिली एक ही पॉइंट होगा जो आपको सबसे अच्छा लगा, जो आपको सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लगा, जो चीज आप सबसे अच्छा सीखे. तो ये स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक है. Got it?
Yes, sir. अच्छा मैम, ये जो क्लास एक्टिविटी मतलब जो चल रहा है वो हर रोज क्या क्या एक्टिविटी हुआ, ये मतलब इसको भी नोट करते जाना है क्या?
क्लास एक्टिविटी आप टेबल में डाल सकते हैं. ठीक है, डिपेंड करता है कौन सा एक्टिविटी होता है. तो अगर बहुत थोड़ा एलाबोरेट है तो नोटबुक में डालिए, अगर छोटा है तो शॉर्ट एंड फॉर्म में टेबल में डालिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि सबका टेबल एक ही जैसा होगा, जैसे कि सबका नोट एक जैसा नहीं होता, तो सबका टेबल भी अलग होगा. ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. समझ रहे हो ना? जैसे कि क्लास नोट सब बच्चे का डिफरेंट होता है, वो टेबल भी अलग होगा.
थैंक यू मैम.
Manthan, I have told it repeatedly how to maintain the table. I have showed the table. So you can ask and talk to your friends. I have done it for 3-4 classes. Okay. So thank you. I'll have to leave the call. I have another meeting from 3:45. Bye.